The session is about the access to medicines and medical devices in Europe. And the access is particularly important in Europe because all the countries of the European Union want to have a democratic access, which means the access for all the patients. And because the systems are for the reimbursement of the national authorities, so there are some steps after the marketing authorization, which is for most of the medicines, the authorization is released by the European Commission. But after this, there are the steps for the real access, democratic access for all the patients in the different countries of the European Union, and this is a remit of the national authorities. So the first presentation for this third session is about the EU joint procurement, what we learn from health threats and the proposal for Critical Medicines Act by Professor Vincenzo Salvatore, who is one of the speakers usually present in the Foresight training course, professor of European Union law at the University of Insubria, former head of the legal service at EMA, with long-standing experience in international and EU law and litigation before higher courts. Please, Vincenzo, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Enrico. Thank you, Chair. It's a pleasure for me also this year to be part of this initiative, and I'm particularly grateful to Adriana Ceci, to Lucio Bonifazi, to all the organizer, Viviana, Francesca, and all the people who are working to make this initiative a yearly success event. I'm pleased that this year the event has been organized online, also because I'm far from Italy. I'm currently in the United Arab Emirates, and so I couldn't have been present in person if you had organized it in person. I will try to share my screen in order to show the slide that I'm sure will be put at disposal of the attendees of this event. Can you properly see my slides?
Yes, thank you, Vincenzo.
Yes.
Okay. So what
Vincenzo,
I would like to... Yes?
Sorry, Vincenzo. Yeah, they are not in the widescreen mode.
So what I have to do?
Put them in the widescreen mode.
I don't know how to do it. If you can show the slides on my behalf, I don't know. Let me see. I don't know. If you can show the slides and I can comment them. Can you do it? Okay.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Apologies about that. As my children are grown up, when they say that I'm a boomer, I'm not very familiar with technology, so I don't know how to do it. I don't have my assistant here out of the office. So if you can move to the next slide, please. So what I would like to address, first of all, which are the lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, and how we have to tackle shortages of medicines and medical devices further to the health emergency. On top of that, we will briefly discuss the content of Regulation 123 of 2022 that was a first follow-up initiative that was taken by the European Union in order to try to mitigate the risk of shortages, giving a new role and new responsibilities to the European Medicine Agency, including monitoring activities on shortages not only of critical medicinal products, but also medical device. And then we will look, and this is the core of the presentation, at the joint procurement approach. The joint procurement approach was initially launched during the pandemic, and then, as we will see, is one of the major innovation introduced, or that will be introduced, with the Critical Medicines Act, which is currently a proposed regulation, which will be discussed by the parliamentary committee responsible for public health early in December. And we will see what is expected to happen in the next few months and how the stakeholders have reacted to the Critical Medicines Act proposal. Next slide, please. So, what we have learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. 5 years have elapsed, but all of us, I'm sure, remember very clearly that one of the first critical situation that all over Europe we had to face was the lack of preparedness to deal with unexpected health emergencies. So we were completely lost. We didn't have a therapeutic solution available. We didn't know exactly which kind of medicines could prevent or treat the virus. And from that, there was the need to speed up the availability of appropriate therapeutic solution. The joint procurement was identified as a tool in order to speed up the availability of medicines and to avoid discrimination between EU member states as far as access to vaccines was concerned, because of course, as you can imagine, the bargaining power of different member states would have risked to put some of them in a very critical situation, and also the possibility that all of them would compete in order to try to get as soon as possible the more available doses of vaccines would have definitely created discrepancies, differential treatment. And so the Commission, what they did, they in July and August 2020, they entered discussion with the vaccines manufacturer in order to, well, technically it's an option to purchase vaccines as soon as they would be available, because at that point in time, the medicinal products were not available. So on top of having a better bargaining power in discussing with the manufacturer of vaccines, and actually you have to imagine that the first contract entails the commitment to purchase 1.5 billion doses of vaccines, and that could have not been possible at national level by individual member states. But also this was a way to fund, to promote research and development of medicinal products which were not available yet. So in other words, what the Commission did is to anticipate money that would have been considered as a payment for medicinal products that still didn't exist when they entered the contract. Next slide, please. But what would have been and what were the alternatives? Pending the availability of vaccines, there was reshoring of medicinal products. There were manufacturers of vaccines that bought back, so they rebuy the the vaccines that were sold to other member states are not really vaccines, but what were considered adequate therapeutic solutions in order to make them available, because one of the approach was to promote repurposing of medicinal products. So the possibility to use medicinal products authorized for a different therapeutic indication, because nobody knew COVID-19, in order to mitigate the effects of the pathology of the virus. And another measure that was adopted by the European Commission was the ban to export medicinal products and medical devices that would have been used to treat the patient. Then the other possibility, and that has to be considered in the future, and this is part, as we will see, of the Critical Medicine Act, was to introduce a measure to boost local production of medicines and active products ingredient. And this is a real challenge. And there was a recommendation. And now in the Critical Medicine Act, once it is approved, there will be the possibility for member states to fund initiative to boost local production of medicines. Think about what in Italy has been introduced by establishing the Eneatech and Biomedical Foundation, for instance, creating silos to fund specific manufacturing of mRNA medicines, for instance. But this has to face big challenges, because, of course, it's not easy to persuade, to convince manufacturers to move to Europe to expand their manufacturing power. As, for instance, in Europe, you face higher costs that in other parts of the world. You are confronted with a very complex regulation, and all these elements generate a trend to underinvestment in this sector. Another initiative that was taken, and that has been reflected also in Regulation 123 of 2022, was to introduce a strengthened monitoring and early information exchange approach in order to ensure an early detection of possible health emergencies and shortages crisis. Next slide, please. So what happened in January 2022? Immediately after the core of the pandemic, we were coming out of the pandemic at that point in time. The European Union decided to empower the European Medicine Agency with the responsibilities of coordinating responses of EU and EEA, so also European Economic Area, involving Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein, to shortages, and in this case, not only of medicinal products, but also of critical medical devices and in vitro diagnostics in crisis situation. The regulation established a new medicine shortages steering group, the EMSSG, and an emergency task force within the EMA with the specific remit to coordinate member states' initiative. And in order to do that, they also foresaw the establishment of a network of a single point of contact, one contact point for member states, and also required the agency to prepare a plan for emerging health threats. Bear in mind that preparedness is one of the crucial elements that stands beyond and before all the initiatives that were taken, including the joint procurement, in order to be ready to a prompt and adequate reaction in case of health emergencies. I mentioned this just to recall that with another initiative, the EU decided to create an health emergency response authority that originally was conceived as a different agency, but at the end of the day, it remained a division, a department, a directorate of the European Commission. So it operates under the umbrella of the European Commission organization, but its remit is properly to prepare member states to face new health emergencies. Next slide, please. So what are the tasks assigned to the European Medicine Agency by Regulation 123 of January 2022? Prepare for a managed crisis situation affecting the EU market.
Vincenzo,
Yes.
if it is possible, 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah. Monitoring supply and demand through a platform which facilitate exchange of information concerning shortages, address recommendation to address vulnerabilities in the supply chain, and also as a technical body to advise the European Commission whenever a major event occurs on the action that they have to take. And then, of course, to cooperate with the Critical Medicines Alliance. I will speed up. Next slide, please. So what are the pros and cons of the joint procurement approach, which is foreseen also by the Critical Medicine Act? The pros are that with a single procurement approach, you have cost savings because you bundle purchasing powers of different member states. You create an economy of scales and you reduce access disparities because you address it at the global level, European level, of course. You improve supply security because you commit the companies with which you enter the agreement, you award the contract to grant and to ensure supply. You stimulate market development and innovation, and you encourage standardization. What are the difficulties? Difficulties in coordinating multiple member states' policies and approach. It can lead to administrative complexity because, of course, you have to take into account the rules concerning procurement, and these have been implemented in a different way in different member states. You have to ensure meaningful competition because, of course, you risk to have only big companies participating to this procedure. And then there is an issue concerning risk. What happens if something goes wrong? Who is responsible for? The Commission, the member states. We had problem in all member states concerning alleged damages generated by the use of vaccines. And this was not completely considered when addressing the joint procurement procedure. Next slide, please. So this is a slide taken from the FPA document where the FPA address their position with regard to medicine shortages, identifying the causes for shortages. We can skip it. Next slide, please. And what are the major elements that characterize the Critical Medicine Act, which is a proposal of a regulation? Well, first of all, there is the definition of critical medicines. Critical medicines are identified by combining the following criteria: seriousness of the disease, the medicine targets, and availability of suitable alternative medicine. When these two criteria combines, you are in front of a critical medicine. Next slide, please. So why a new regulation? Well, the scope is to ensure availability, supply, and production. There is a need to develop a prevention and mitigation system. There is a need to elaborate strategic projects at European level to facilitate investment in manufacturing. The proposed Critical Medicine Acts identify also the tool of collaborative procurement. That doesn't mean joint procurement, but there could be procurement between 2 or more member states, not the European level, to promote international partnership and to depart from state aid rules. In other words, member states can grant funding or support financially companies which wanted to produce critical medicines, and these in principle should be not compliant with competition rules, but in case of critical medicines, it can become compliant. Next slide, please. So what is going to happen? First of all, you know that there is an ongoing process of revision of pharmaceutical legislation. The package does not address shortages because these will be addressed by the Critical Medicine Act. So we have a specific set of rules for that. The legislative procedure is ongoing. A vote in the Santé Committee of the Parliament is expected at the beginning of December 2025. There has been discussion if including in the Critical Medicine Act also medical device and diagnostics, as it was the case for Regulation 123 of 2022. FPIA was contrary. Organization representing medtech companies were contrary, but let's see what happened. There was a recent report, and I would encourage you to read it. It was just released a month ago, approximately, where the European Court of Auditors says that the proposed act is still not adequate to address the challenges, and so they expect that there will be further discussion at the European Parliament and then during the trilogue that will be developed with the Commission and with the Council. Sorry for speeding up. There are a lot of things that could be further developed, but I will remain available until the end of this session in case there are any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vincenzo. Thank you so much, Vincenzo. Very interesting. And now we have the updates from the EU HTA regulation, which is so important for the democratic availability of medicines for all the patients they need, by Anna Ponzianelli, Director of Market Access and Public Affairs at Moderna, Italy, with nearly 30 years of experience in healthcare institutions and pharma companies. She focuses on mRNA drug access, institutional relations, and health policy. Please, Anna, the floor is yours. Mute. You are in mute. You have to open the microphone.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Enrico. Thank you as a president of SIARV, and thank you to let me to be introduced. And a big thanks to Fondazione Benzi and to Professor Cecchi and Viviana Giannuzzi. And I'm ready. You gave me an argument which is so fashionable now, okay? But it's has got a very important history. We are talking about HTA. Let me to give you just a bit of the history, because we are talking a lot about HTA, about coordination group, European Commission, the relationship with EMA, and the relationship between authorization and assessment. But health technology assessment is just a process evaluating health technologies, and which is gaining importance in these last years, because oh, I'm sorry, because I cannot go on. Okay, so sorry. Let me see. I have some problems. It's not normal. Can you see my screen opening and opening?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's, just a moment, I'm so sorry again. I don't know what's happening. Okay. I think now it's okay. Because it's so strange, I cannot, okay. It's okay. So let's go directly to the point. We know that EMA work on absolute risk-benefit assessment. So what is the place of HTA coordination group? Is actually work on effectiveness. So in a certain way, we talk about HTA, but to be and to go direct to the point, we are talking just on clinical assessment, because HTA cover both clinical assessment and local appraisal. At European level, we are working on it. And so why I said that it's new, every one of us know that it has been adopted just on 21 and 22, January 22, it went in place. But now we are...
Sorry, just an advice for technical advice. Francesca can show the slides and you can tell Francesca when it is necessary to have another slide.
Okay, so sorry. So are you in the HTA regulation from now on? Francesca? Can you hear me? Enrico? See?
Yeah. Is that okay, Anna? Okay.
Okay, so this is the situation right now. So we are working and we are, an HTA coordination group is working on the assessment of cancer, medicinal products and TMP. We are waiting for the implementation for orphan drugs and all the other medicinal products within 2030, okay? This regulation is binding for all European states, so for all the member states. Can you go on, Francesca, please? Can you? Oh, I cannot see, so sorry.
We can see properly, Anna.
You can see properly, but I cannot see your moving slide. I cannot see anything now. What are you seeing? Are you moving the slide or would you like me to do? Francesca?
Hi, Anna. We are
Yes.
sure to see a slide for you.
I cannot hear you.
We are sharing the slide for you.
Okay, but I cannot see them. So we are on HTA regulation from now on.
Right, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So we can go faster to the next slide, please. Okay, so the coordination group is on our left side and is formed by 3 persons. One of them is Italian. But what is important to us is that they are working both on joint clinical assessment, joint scientific consultation, identification on emerging technologies and methodologies. On the right side, you can find the HTA stakeholder network. This is a very important part of the game because all the decisions are in charge of the member state coordination group and the subgroups, but the stakeholder network is going to have a rising importance in the process in terms of decision maker. Next slide, please. Why I say it? Stakeholder network is formed by 75 association societies, representative from medical association, but also patient association, and full of experts. They are in charge, and they have been in charge of design the HTA framework. But on the other hand, there is a crucial role, which is not so, how can I say, gained until now, which is related to their expert. It's so important. As you can see, the society cannot be as a part of the process in terms of assessment, but experts, yes. So it's so important. I give you just some example in terms of association and society who are involved in terms of orphans or pediatric pharmaceutical compounds, and they should be present in the list to be given to the HTA coordination group, because this is the only way to have a real voice into the process. Let me go on, please. Next slide. Okay. This is the, I think, I'm sorry, Francesca, but I think is the presentation of yesterday. I gave you the update with all the new update from HTA. I don't know what's happening. That's why. But anyway, so sorry, because there are some important things for our auditorium.
Sorry, only a few minutes and we share the new presentation.
I am in the condition to do mine, but.
Yes, of course, Anna, please share the screen if
Thank you so
if you
much,
can.
because I prefer.
Let's
so
try,
sorry.
of course.
Yeah, because it's easier to me. So let's go on. Let's put in the slide. Okay. So thank you there. So this is very, very important. Don't forget it. Let's now go on. So thinks about HTA regulation. Thinks about we are talking about effectiveness and not efficacy and safety. Thinks about we have two moments, very important moments, which are JSC and JCA. JSC has to be played in line with scientific advice at EMA level. And in this moment, both the developers and regulator, and not only, are involved with briefing book or whatever, in understanding how to achieve the right profile in terms of effectiveness. And in this case, experts, both societies, medical and patient, should be involved in. The JCA promotes consensus of technical aspects. And it's so important because at the end, we will have a result which is valid for all European countries. This means that we will not have any duplication, and the single country, single member state has to accept. And so in terms of access, as Enrico said at the beginning, it's a very important and crucial move because we can shrink the local times in terms of access to the therapies for our patients. So very briefly, JSC is important because here we can define and understand how the PICO should be. And in this moment, it's so important because experts can participate, can give their suggestion. You say to me, okay, let's have a talk on HTA, but where we can move? Here and at JCA level in the PICO scoping process, but also saying something about JCA dossier in terms of expert opinion. So in reality, HTA, JCA, it's a moment in which not only expert in terms of medical, but also patient, citizen, can have a role in the authorization process. This is so important, and unfortunately, until now, the activities are very, very deep at stakeholder network level in terms of understanding the process, in terms of working on methodologies, in terms of understanding more and give suggestion in terms of horizon scanning or whatever. But on a pure process, the involvement is still so low, and generally, the 75 stakeholder, European stakeholder, because as you know, you can work at the European level, so European stakeholder representative are not all giving advice related on their expert. And it's so important because if we think about, for example, orphan drugs or pediatric one, the population are different. The comparator are different. Sometimes they are missing. And so also in terms of outcome, it's so important to have also the expert in this process. In terms of PICO development, for example, when there is the consolidation, the review by selected patient and clinical expert is possible. But it's important to have competencies. And it's important to study. I'm sorry if I say, but it's important to study this kind of process. And so, considering joint scientific consultation, these are the moments in which we can act. For sure, the developer be involved, but again, the support in terms of timely access is so crucial when there is the participation in terms of briefing package or list of issues. I would like to give you, for example, an example on what we talk a lot and so, deeply and profoundly during these 2 days. It's so important also on pediatric level to be there. It's important to rise consistent scientific and ethical criteria, being transparent and reduce duplication. Again, reduce duplication. So it's important to underline the differences between this kind of pharmaceutical, medicinal products and the rest. It's important to harmonize as soon as we can with common technologies and methodologies. So it's important to know. To align as soon as we can to IMA data, but also work in preparing, as I said before, a work from the member state. The member states are there, and then we will see. And in terms of having this early dialogue, have the possibility not to have duplication, but to be faster, both on PIP, CTR, and PICO definition on JCA. Just to give you an example, the moment is very crucial because yes, it's right. In 2028, for example, orphan drugs will be evaluated, but think about ATMP and onco. Within ATMP and onco, there are several examples. For example, have a look here. We have 8 medicinal products which has been already evaluated or under evaluation on JCA, ready to be authorized and arrive at the member state. For example, IFA will receive soon some of them in terms of PNR process. And exactly 5 of them are orphan products, and 2 of them are both orphan and pediatric. But again, it's important to be involved. The process are going. We don't know a lot about it. We are waiting for the assessment, but the process are going on. So the involvement is crucial. The same for JSC. Now Italy, on the 29th of September, started as a member, as a co-assessor of one of the future products. So it should be very, very important to be there. And again, I'm so sorry. So what HTA, European HTA regulation is doing? It's not a duplication of EMA. If we, in a certain way, understand how to move, how to express as soon as, and how to support the assessment in terms of effectiveness. And it's important to be in. I'm sorry if I went through this presentation asking for and stakeholder involvement, but this is crucial. It's an opportunity, a big opportunity to have the right pharmaceutical compound for the right patient in a very fast way, or at least a faster one. So thank you so much. And sorry again.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna, very much for this important presentation. And now